Hello everybody, welcome back to another video on the channel, Mr. Footballer Loons, and today we are doing Game Week 7 of the Barclays Premier League. We're going to be starting off on the 10th of September. It's going to be Fulham at home against Chelsea. Now this can be a very interesting game. At the start of the season we have seen a lot of upsets for big teams against small teams, but here I think it's going to be 2-1 to Chelsea. To be honest, Fulham lost to Spurs 2-1. They've lost to Arsenal 2-1. So I would call Chelsea, Spurs and Arsenal top 6 clubs, and against Chelsea I think it's going to be 2-1. Even at home or away. Purely because, Fulham can easily get a result from this. Alexander Mitrovic up front is absolutely amazing. His heading, he can score headers for anything. You can get into those positions. Dan James, his blistering pace down the wing. Absolutely superb. But Chelsea, they have more experience. They're a top 6 club. And they won against West Ham. Their suspensions are all returning. Sterling's performing. They've got Aubameyang in. So I don't know why they can't win this game. Moving on, Bournemouth at home against Brighton. I'm going to say 2-1 to Brighton. Now, to be honest, Bournemouth, they did quite well to get 3 points against Forest. But Forest play against Bournemouth twice last season, which means they've got experience against Forest to get that win. But that is a championship club facing a championship club, really, because they both played in the championship last season. So it's not much of an amazing thing for Bournemouth, getting 3 points against Forest. They're against now Brighton, who have beaten Manchester United and Leicester. Thrashed them. They've had some other amazing games. I just don't think that they've got the qualities to beat Brighton. It could be a draw because it's at the Vitality Stadium, and when they did play home, they did get 3 points against Aston Villa. But I think that's purely because Aston Villa played absolute terrible that game. But let's just move on to Southampton, who are home against Brentford, and I'm going to say 1-0 to Southampton. Now, to be honest, Southampton, they have been performing very well in these games, such as against Manchester United. They played very well. They're not getting the results, and that is key. They need the results. They really do. But really, they've been losing quite quick succession. They've been playing really well, and Brentford's a winnable game, and especially at home, I think they've got it in the bag. Brentford, they lost to Fulham, but just before that, they won like an amazing game. They won against Leeds, but that's because Leeds played absolute terrible that game. But they're away here against Southampton, who have been beckoning for another win here, especially after the loss against Wolves. They're going to be bouncing back, and it's going to be a win for Southampton. Moving on, it's Liverpool home against Wolverhampton Wanderers. And I'm going to say this game's going to be 1-0 to Liverpool. If you look at last season history, Wolves got 3 shots against Liverpool and lost 1-0. Their defence and goalkeeper is absolutely amazing. One thing that's not is their attack. Ever since Jimenez got that head injury, their attack's just not good enough. Liverpool, they're at Anfield. They've gotten this in the bag. I think it's going to be a comfortable 1-0 domination result. Because Liverpool, for some reason, they only drew 0-0 against Everton. I don't know what they're doing there, but they need to finally pick up points. This is where the turning point's going to be. They're going to get a win against Wolves. Moving on, Leicester City, who are home against Aston Villa. And I'm going to say 3-2 to Leicester City. Yes, I'm backing them up literally every week, and they're not performing. Please, this is the last time I'm begging you to get a result. Bournemouth won against Aston Villa 2-0 at home. So why the hell can't you, Leicester? Please get a win. I want this prediction to go right. But to be honest, they do have some great players. Daka and Iheanacho, they're great players, great attackers. So why can't they score 2 goals here with them? And then maybe someone like James Maddison can bang in a goal. Wilfred Ndidi is a great CDM. The goalkeeper's the only issue, and that's why I think Aston Villa will get a couple of goals. But Leicester, this is going to be the turning point. I think if they had a new manager, I would definitely say them to win this game. But it could easily be a win for Aston Villa. I'm just going by the way Aston Villa have played. They don't have the tactics from Steven Gerrard. The tactics aren't actually fully there. He doesn't know what he's doing. They've got a squad. They've got a great top 10 squad. But Steven Gerrard's just not the manager for the job. So for that, Leicester City is going to scrape this 3-2. Moving on to our next game, Manchester City at the Etihad against Spurs. I'm going to say this one, a very tight contest. 2-1 to Manchester City. Now, to be honest, City, they drew 1-1 against Aston Villa. They were away. You know, they've gotten terrible results like that before. They've still got a good side. And I would say they're better than Spurs. They've got Erling Haaland to bang in the goals, and I think he will. I think they've got Kevin De Bruyne as that central attacking midfielder. He can also score goals. They've got so much depth, and with the new 5 substitution rule, they bring on 5 substitutes, and I think they've got better depth than Spurs. And for that, they're going to scrape this win 2-1. Moving on to the next game, and actually a next day. It's going to be the 11th of September. And it's going to be Arsenal at home against Everton. A low-scoring 1-0 win to Arsenal. Everton, Jordan Pickford is absolutely amazing. He's going to stop so many goals against Arsenal. Their defence absolutely amazing. The thing is, their striker, Mbappe, yeah, he's alright. You know, they've brought in some good midfielders as well. And I think for this, they're going to draw too much. I think they're going to stay up because they've got good defence in midfield. But to be honest, Arsenal, they're going to be frustrated after a 3-1 loss against Man United. They deserved it, I'll put it that way. They deserved to get a win against Man United, and for that, they're better than Everton. And Everton, they got a good draw against Liverpool, but they're away this time. Arsenal at home, they've got Gabriel Jesus, they've got Martin Odegaard, they've got Martinelli, they've got Smith Rowe. They've got so many players, you know, at that side. They've got a great goalie, so I don't see why they definitely can not keep a clean sheet. They definitely will keep a clean sheet. 1-0, comfortable win for Arsenal. Moving on to the next game, West Ham United are at home against Newcastle United. I'm going to say this one, a boring 1-1 draw. Newcastle, I mean, you might as well say they got a win against Crystal Palace. Because they should have. You know, but we'll stop talking about that. It was 0-0 against Crystal Palace. Should have been 1-0. But they're against West Ham. And now, I'm not too sure if St. Maximin, John Joe Shelby, Bruno Gomes is back yet. But, to be fair, even without them, they still managed to get a decent result against Crystal Palace. Mikel Almiron, have to give him all the praise, the 100% effort every game. You might as well say it's 110% effort. He put so much effort to create chances, and that's exactly what you want. Newcastle and West Ham are going to create chances. West Ham are definitely knocking at the door this season. They were playing rubbish, but now they're starting to perform. They get a point against Spurs, Spurs are definitely competing for Champions League, so that's good. West Ham, they're starting to perform, they're starting to get up there. And Newcastle, you know, their away record ain't the best. And for that, it's going to be a point. And really, in previous form, there's been 2-2 draws, 3-2 wins for Newcastle, 4-2 wins for West Ham. It's been quite even. So for that, I placed Newcastle 9th, West Ham 8th in my predictions. So for that, they're really tight. I would say they're pretty much equal. So a 1-1 draw seems reasonable. Moving on to the next game, Crystal Palace are home against Manchester United. I'm going to say this to be a 2-2 draw. I think Man United are going to be too cocky. They're going to think, we've got this in the bag. We won 3-1 against Arsenal, who are undefeated. Nah, you're going away against Crystal Palace. You can definitely be knocking on the door. They got a great side. They're knocking on the door against Man City. You know, they have gotten results against Man City. Man United lost to Brighton. They lost to Brentford. They've won 4 in a row, but I think that's shortly going to come to an end with a draw here. Purely because Man United, they're not out of, you know, the, what would you call it, horribleness. They're not out of their bad form quite yet. They're nearly out, but to be fair, they're inconsistent, so inconsistency is going to say they're going to draw this game or lose it. And Crystal Palace are home, so yeah. 2-2 draw. Moving on to our next game, it's going to be 12th of September, so a whole new day as well. Quite interesting. Leeds United at Ellen Road against Nottingham Forest. 3-1 to Leeds United. Leeds have got this in the bag. They're definitely going to concede because the defence is absolute shambles. They're messing up Llorente. Get him out of the team. Absolutely diddly squat for the side last game against Brentford. But this game's going to be different. It's against Forest, who played in the Championship. Leeds, they're at home at Ellen Road. That stadium's going to bring them all the buzz. Leeds have also won 3-0 against Chelsea. Forest have lost 3-2 against Bournemouth. So why can't Leeds win this 3-1? Easy. That will be the end of my video, but obviously, like usual, before we end it off, we're going to go through how I did last week. I got 4 points. It was shambolic. It was one of my worst weeks so far. Hopefully I can have a better week this week. And really, I got one exact result. That's Chelsea against West Ham. I predicted 2-1. It was 2-1. And I got a couple of other results, not exactly right, but enough. I predicted that Wolves would win it, and I predicted that Spurs would win against Fulham. But to be honest, the rest I got wrong. I mean, no one was expecting Man City to draw 1-1 against Aston Villa. But we'll stop waffling. Let's end the video here. Hopefully you can like and subscribe. And always remember to turn on notifications. Then miss one of my fantastic YouTube videos. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.